imposing masks on children again? Well, that's what they're trying to do. Take a look at this story from the CBC. Oh, they're so excited. Trustee to push for mask mandate in Ottawa's largest school board. Dr. Neely Kaplan-Myrth plans to introduce a motion to hold an emergency meeting on masks Tuesday. A newly elected school board trustee plans to introduce a motion Tuesday to call for an emergency meeting to vote on bringing back mandatory masks at the city's largest school board. Dr. Neely Kaplan-Myrth, a family physician in the Glebe, ran on a platform to bring back masks in schools when she was voted in as the Ottawa Carleton District School Board trustee for Zone 9 in October. Well, the CBC couldn't be happier. To them, MD doesn't stand for medical doctor, it stands for media darling. At least those doctors who are pushing for more government authoritarianism in your lives. The CBC doesn't have much time for dissenting doctors, though, or what we used to call a second opinion. I'll read more. Currently, the province is dealing with a triple threat of COVID, influenza, and respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, which can cause breathing difficulties for babies and toddlers. A triple threat. They love using super scientific language like that, don't they? Who is this Dr. Neely Kaplan-Myrth? Well, here she is on TV Ontario, the state broadcaster owned by the government of Ontario. I want to play a glorious clip for you, and kudos to Steve Paikin. Take a look.
We're all getting back to normal now, folks. So let's start there. Are we back to normal yet?
No. So the language that you use when you say something like normal is a far-right language of anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers, and ableists who disregard the impact of COVID on seniors, on children, on educators, on essential workers, on healthcare workers, on our healthcare crisis. There's nothing normal about getting COVID, repeated infections, children and adults being hospitalized, and long COVID. There's nothing normal about taking away the protections and the proactive measures that we had to help to reduce transmission of COVID. And there's nothing normal about getting rid of any kind of isolation requirements, which would have helped to curtail outbreaks in schools, in workplaces, and everywhere else that you go.
So she wears a mask when she's alone. Oh, and it's not a hardship. You should do it too. In fact, you must do it too. Or at least your kids must. The science says so. I mean, trust it. Always wear a mask. Always. Even after people have left the room, especially if you're on Steve Paikin's show. Except if you're getting a publicity shot where you want to show your face, not a smiling face, of course, a dead serious face. Even if a photographer is there, well, some risks are worth taking. And here's what our friend Andrew Lawton said. Here is Ottawa physician Dr. Neely Kaplan-Myrth in her clinic unmasked in December while a photographer was in the room. Yesterday on TVO, she said being unmasked in her clinic alone was unsafe. Well, now she's a school board trustee and she demands that your children be masked. But what's so weird is I don't think she sends her own kids to that school board, to the public school. At least one of them for sure. Here, listen to this angry mask fanatic bristle when she's asked a question about that in a non-mean way by some friendly online debate moderator. This was when she was running for school board. She wasn't wearing a mask here for some reason. Now, Neely Kaplan-Myrth was not attacked, but she attacked back. She was very angry, very defensive, very weird. But the short answer is no. She doesn't send her kids to public school, at least not the one that she talks about here, but she wants to tell public school children what to do. Isn't that weird? Take a look.
Do your children presently attend private school or public school if you have children? And have you ever sent your children to private school? Neely, we'll hear from you first.
So actually, I think that it's inappropriate to be asking us what school our children go to. And because I am somebody who is receiving death threats, I'm not going to talk about where my children currently go. I can tell you that one of the things that happened to my eldest when he was in high school was that he couldn't navigate his way around Glebe Collegiate. He couldn't get the supports that he needed as a child with learning disabilities and a child who was gifted and a child who had extreme anxiety. And in order for him to complete high school, we had to put him at another school in order to get him the supports he needed. He needed one-on-one teaching. And I can tell you that as a parent, when I started off parenting, I had no money. I was a student who had to basically take hand-me-down snowsuits and boots because I was living from paycheck to paycheck. And I am not comfortable with the fact that when our children struggle, it basically ends up being that those children who have access to funds end up getting the supports that they need. My son would not have gotten through high school. His teachers told him that you might be gifted, but you're not picking up a pencil. You're not going to be able to do the work, and your kid's going to fail, is what we were told. And I mean, we had to, even at that time, we had to borrow from family members and just kind of, suck it up and send him where he could get one-on-one education. And that should never have happened.
Holy moly, anger issues. But really, isn't that the true face of maskers? Who wants to go back to that? And would they want to go back to this, a mask enforcement mob chasing out an unmasked shopper?
Get out. Yeah, grown ass woman that acts like a dirty ass kid. Dirty ass, huh? What do you think? Fucking tree.
People can wear masks if they want to. Always could. This isn't about people wearing masks. It's about people forcing other people to wear masks. That's the essence of the past 2 years. The defining characteristic of the last 2 years was not an illness. It was not a virus. It was politicians and bureaucrats and journalists telling other people how to live. What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.